do an oral history and have you tell us, as matriarch of the Poe family, have you tell us whatever you recall of some of the family members. We'll start with your full name. What is your full name?
Virginia Sallet.
And where were you born?
Eustis, Florida.
And what was the day of your birth?
January 15, 1919.
Do you remember your father?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Arthur James Sharp.
What do you remember of Arthur James Sharp?
Well, he was a very talented person. He was hard working. He did quite a few different things.
And what were his interests?
At one time, he was a baker. He had a baker shop. Another time, he was a contractor. And he built several buildings in Eustis. The one on Bay Street is the only one standing now. The Lucas building. He built the school out on Bay Street in 1925. And he built quite a few buildings, but they're not standing.
So he was a contractor.
Yes.
And where was he born?
Yes.
And you remember his parents?
Yes.
And please tell us about his father's name and what he was.
His father was Frank Shaw, and he worked with fruit trees. He built his own sprayer, and he would push it all over town and spray trees, orange trees, grapefruit trees.
So he would work with the different farmers and go in and spray their trees for them?
Yeah, well, they weren't farmers as such. They people that own orange groves.
Okay. And tell us about his personality. What type of person was he?
As far as I know, he was very nice because he died when I was a child. I loved him and he was very nice.
And what do you remember of your father's mother? What was her name and what do you remember about her?
Her name was Clara Shaw, and she was a very religious person. I remember going to the house off and on, but what I remember most about is her cakes. I used to love to go in and get cake.
Did bake?
Yes, she baked.
Bake cakes. Okay. Now, do you remember your mother, either of your mother's parents?
No.
Okay. Not the father or the mother?
No.
Okay, now tell us more about your mother. What was her name?
Lula Jean Poe Sharp.
And what do you remember about Lula Jean Poe Sharp, your mother?
Well, she was a very strict person, and she didn't do much talking. And she was very much in love with the church and worked there, and she taught school.
Do you remember what grade she taught, or did she teach different grades?
She taught first grade. Most of the people in Eustis went by my mother.
Okay. And where did your mother and father meet?
Here in Eustis.
Did they go to school together?
No.
No. Do you remember where they met?
No.
Or how they met? Okay. Now,
I imagine at church.
maybe at church? Okay. Now, beyond those family members that you've named, do you recall any other family members beyond them? For instance, on your father's side, do you recall your father's father? Or had you heard, do you know who he was?
No.
Do you know your father's father's mother?
No.
Okay. Do you know your mother's mother's mother? Or do you know her name or where she was from? You remember? You knew her?
I never saw her.
You never saw her, but you had heard about her.
Yeah.
Do you know where she was born?
South Carolina.
Okay. And the last one is your mother's father's father, right?
My mother's father's father.
In other words, her great-grandparents. Any of your grandparents?
No.
No, great-grandparents.
Great-grandparents.
She
Yeah, we got the
great-grandparents.
grandparents.
Okay. Now, what do you recall of growing up in Eustis?
And going to church and going to school.
And you grew up in segregated times? Tell us about when you were a teenager, living in the segregated times. What decade were you a teenager?
In the 30s.
In the 30s. And what was it like in Eustis in the 30s for a teenage black girl?
Well, I thought nothing of it at that time because that's all I knew. And then I wasn't able to go anywhere unless I was going with my mother anyway. Because I wasn't allowed to go out by myself.
Have you ever visited Bennettsville, South Carolina?
Yes.
When did you visit Bennettsville?
When I made a visit, I was around 6 or 8 years old.
Okay. Do you remember any other relatives there?
I remember her uncle that we visited, Sam Poe.
And what do you remember of Sam Poe?
Just visiting there and let me go out in the corn and the cotton field and pick some cotton off the bushes. And that's all I remember.
And you were about 6 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, you have a good memory. Okay. Tell us about, you were a prominent school teacher in Eustis. Tell us what you recall of teaching school here in Eustis, Florida.
Well, I enjoyed teaching.
What did you teach?
I taught the second grade most of the time, then later I taught third grade.
And can you estimate how many children came through your classroom over the years? How many children did you teach?
I don't know. At that time, all of them, for years, came through my grade. Because at one time, I was only second grade teacher. My mother was only third grade teacher. But as the school grew larger, then we had maybe 2 or 3 teachers in a particular grade. But most time, my mother and I got all of these children for first and second.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and ask you a few more questions. Virginia Sallet. So we were talking about your years as a school teacher, and we were interested in finding out the racial makeup of the schools that you taught at. When you first began teaching, you taught at schools that were segregated, is that correct? And when were the schools integrated here?
68, wasn't it?
67, that's when we had freedom of choice. And you could go to the white school or the black school then. But then the Poland race was 68. Now Sanford was 68.
So it was 1968 when the schools were integrated. How many years did you teach school?
38.
38 years. So you must have taught hundreds of children in the city of Eustis. So now tell us, when did you meet your husband? What was your husband's name, and when did you meet your husband?
I've known him all my life. He came here when he was 3 years old, I think.
Where did he move here from?
High Springs.
Is that in Florida? High Springs, Florida? Did you attend school together?
Yes, in Houston.
At elementary school?
Elementary, high school.
What was the name of your elementary school?
Cartwright School, Cartwright High School. That was elementary and high school.
Okay. For the,
That's when we started out.
and that was the building your father built, that building, right? Correct? Okay, and so you were always have been friends.
Yes.
And when did you begin dating?
Well, when we were in the around 7th, 8th grade, we kind of friendly and like. But we didn't start dating until after he came out of service, really,
Okay.
because I had been married.
Okay, now tell us your first husband's name.
Richmond James Lawson
Where did you meet him?
here.
And tell us whatever you'd like to tell us about him. How long were you married?
We married secretly because I wasn't of age. I wasn't of age yet. I was teaching, but I wasn't. And we kept it a secret a little over a year because he went to Alabama to embalming school. And we kept it a secret there. And he came out.
Told people, everyone. How old were you when you married the first husband?
18.
Okay, and that was not of age, 18?
No, I might have been 17, just about 18.
Did you have any children?
No.
And then tell us when you met your second husband. I mean, I'm sorry. We know how you met your second husband. Tell us his name. We didn't get his name for the record.
Ernest and Sallet.
And what year did you marry Ernest Sallet? 1948. And I should ask, how long were you married to Richard?
About 2 years.
2 years, okay. And you married in 1948. And he was, tell us about him. What type of person was he?
Ernest?
Yes, Ernest.
He was a very nice person, quiet, friendly, very lovable person. I don't think anybody disliked him.
I remember he liked fishing. Can you tell us about his hobbies, his interest in fishing, and any other hobbies he had?
He loved sports, and he loved to fish.
And tell us, what did he do?
He was a teacher.
What grade did he teach? Where did he teach?
When he first started teaching, he was a coach. Then he became athletic director. And when he retired, he was still coaching, working with sports.
Now, what school?
When you realize that, no, it's Africa.
Was it Bates then? Bates
He's
had
the vocational, then changed to Bates.
When Ernest retired, it was Houston. When you retired?
No, it was an integration then.
Yeah, it was Bates.
So he
He was
retired.
middle.
Hmm?
Not Bates. Saturday Bates.
Bates had it.
Okay. And you had one daughter with your husband?
Yeah.
And what is her name?
Son Ernest Sallet,
And what year was she born?
1950.
And tell us about your daughter, Sandra.
She's a lovable person, and she went to school at here, then she went to Howard University, and
And she was homecoming queen, is that correct?
Yeah, she was homecoming queen, yeah. She was Miss Bates.
Miss Bates High School? What year was she Miss Bates High School?
Was it Bates saying?
68. The year, okay, 1968. Okay. What do you remember of Sandra when she was a little girl? Was she, what was her personality like? What type of little girl was she?
Well, I don't know, she liked to be in everything. Now, Irma probably could tell you more about my child than I could, because she stayed there.
What did she like? What were her activities that she liked?
She was in the band. She majorette, and she was in most activities. She went on to Howard.
Enjoy everything.
And then when did she's married? Where did she meet her husband?
Howard.
Give us her husband's name.
She met him in Howard University. His name is Dedrick Simpson.
And he's the man taping the video. And tell us, when did Dedrick Simpson and Sandra marry?
When?
You remember
1970.
Okay. What do you remember of the wedding? Tell me about the wedding. It was a big wedding in Eustis, correct?
Yeah.
And tell us about whatever you remember recalling the wedding.
First wedding at the church.
Right.
First wedding at the church.
It was the first wedding at that
Poe Memorial Church. Okay, and they had a son. When that was your grandson. And tell us your grandson's name.
Dedrick Simpson the second.
And when was he born?
1973. What's the date? December
28. 28.
28.
70.
Yeah, 73.
Tell us about him when he was a little boy. That was your only grandson. Was that your only grandson?
Yes.
So you must have spoiled your only grandson. What was that like?
We loved him dearly, and we used to get him practically every summer.
So you were very close to your grandson D. And tell us what was he like when he was a little boy? For all the family members who are watching, who might want to know what he was like when he was a little boy.
Well, we enjoyed it. I guess that's the best way I can say it. We would get him in the summer, and his granddaddy and I enjoyed it. Until we carried him back at the end of the summer.
Okay. Now, are there any other family members that I have not mentioned that you want to mention? Okay. And, oh, there is something else. We might want to backtrack for one more question. Your mother had two brothers, right?
Yeah.
And what were their names?
William Poe and Doc Poe. Now, I don't know whether Doc had another name or not, but that's all I know about Doc.
And Doc, as far as we know very little about Doc, but you do recall seeing Doc once. Can you tell us whatever you remember of Doc?
All I can remember is I saw him walking down McDonald's one day, and that's all near where they stayed. And that's all I remember.
Did you speak to him, or they just pointed him out to you?
I don't recall.
What did he look like? What do you remember of him? What did he look like physically?
If I remember correctly, he was dark and average height. And I don't know why I never came in contact with him. I guess because I never did visit the laundry. I never remember going there.
And what do you remember of William Poe?
William Poe.
Your mother's brother. The other one.
That wasn't her brother. That was Uncle Poe's son.
Well, I thought they were twins. What's the name?
It is. William
William
Don-
Poe,
yeah.
the father, and William.
the father.
The William Poe, the father, your mother's brother. What do you remember of him?
Oh, I remember he was a preacher. He was a good speaker, and he was a person that
We set up to take for granted.
he didn't seem to take foolishness. He was right to the point. Whenever he had to say something, he was gonna say it. I don't, and he didn't back away from anybody. I remember being at the National Baptist Conference once, and somebody, some preacher or something, kind of got him upset, and he was telling them all but he was very outspoken.
Very outspoken. Did he always want to be a preacher? Did he always want to be a preacher? Do you
I don't know, as long as I've known.
He was always a preacher. Okay, well, we're going to conclude the interview. Can you tell us, have you enjoyed this family reunion?
Yes, I have.
What would you say has been the most enjoyable part or the most memorable part of the family reunion?
Most enjoyable part is to being together and being able to converse, talk, and talk about things that have happened, learning things about the family that you didn't know before. And it's just been an inspiration to be around because we haven't been together. It's nice to be around people and learn these things.
And what do you wish most for the future generation of people that will come ahead of us? What do you want for them?
I hope that they will stick close together and know each other better than we ever.
Well, thank you very much, Cousin Virginia, for your wonderful interview, for all the history that you shared with us.
All the way back. One more time.